Hamas had actually proposed.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
In 1937, Detroit was in turmoil. Auto workers were on strike, and union strength was growing. A local minister and part-time labor broadcaster was found fatally injured at the Ford Rouge assembly plant. These dramatic events come to life in the play Forgotten, the murder at the Ford Rouge plant.
The boss has got to sign when you organize.
Actors, singers, and musicians tell the true story of how Detroiters built a union town while searching for clues to solve a mysterious death.
The strength of 100,000.
See Forgotten at Marygrove Theater, October 10th through the 12th. Tickets are $35 at Eventbrite or at MichiganLaborHistorySociety.com.
I am going to that Sunday.
Are you going on Sunday? It's
Yeah.
the only day I'm not going to be there.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you going to miss the Lions and Chiefs, Alan?
No, that's at night. It's 8:30.
Oh, okay. You're going to a matinee. Okay.
I wouldn't
I think
go
the
to
question
that.
was,
I
would he
miss
miss the Lions and the Chiefs? Would
I
you?
would miss that.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Week That Was. I'm Saeed Khan, and oh boy, has it been another busy week. Joined right now with 6 people who tragically and unjustly did not win the Nobel Peace Prize today, although far more deserving than those who were lobbying for it, and even arguably the person who actually won it. So we are joined with public relations specialist Beverly Watts, attorneys Bill Seikaly and Jill Sklar, labor and community activist Barb Ingalls, veteran journalist Nancy Derringer, and of course co-founder of Deadline Detroit, Allan Lengel, who's going to that play on Sunday, matinee only. Well, let's go ahead and start with certainly the probably arguably the biggest news of not only the week, but also of the past 2 years. It looks like there is finally some semblance of a ceasefire regarding Gaza. The Israeli Knesset, in fact, voted to accept phase 1 of a 3-prong peace plan that has been brokered between Hamas and Israel by the Egyptians, the Qataris, and to some extent the Trump administration. Perhaps at the end, some real nudging and urging going on there. This brings at least some silencing to the guns and the bombardment of Gaza. There is the hope within the next 72 hours or 3 days that the 20 or 28 living hostages and the 20 some odd remains of 20 some odd hostages will be returned to Israel in exchange also for hundreds of Palestinians who have been languishing in Israeli detention going on there. Thoughts about this and the future of it? And if you remember, we deferred this issue and topic from last week because we are so damn prescient on this show that we pretty much knew that this was going to happen or something.
I just want to say before we get started on this, as my friend's mother would say about Trump not getting the Nobel Peace Prize, thanks God.
Is that Tang like the beverage?
or a Tang. Tang.
Okay, because otherwise I used to eat Tang right out of the bottle.
Oh, really? Stick your finger in there, wet your finger like Lick-a-Maid.
That's
when it was best. It was awful if you out of the water.
Well, before I started rolling a $10 bill and doing it, but yeah. Okay, thoughts about where we are now.
Look, I'm incredibly grateful and hopeful about the ceasefire. I want to see the hostages released. I certainly want to see aid begin to flow into Gaza. But for all this celebration about Trump getting this done, and even the national networks, taking the knee and praising him for finally sticking with something, you got to wonder how long ago this could have been done. Had Trump ever just stuck with it and told Bibi, look, you're either going to enter into these peace accords, or we're not going to fund. We're not going to give you the weapons to do this, and we're not going to let you commit this genocide, and gone over to Hamas and said, look, you're going to agree to release these hostages, or we're going to take the gloves off and let him do whatever he wants. You got to wonder how long ago this could have gotten done. I'm sorry, I just can't.
I agree. It could have been done a lot sooner. I was watching BBC, and there was an analyst who was saying if the Democrats had tried to push that on Netanyahu would have ran to the Republicans, who would have given him cover. But in this case, when Trump squeezed him, Netanyahu had nowhere to go. And that really is the difference. Look, during the election, it was impossible. I mean, Biden was trying to put pressure on him, but it was just politically crazy to try to pull it off. But Trump had the circumstances which he could have done. It should have been done a long time ago. I mean, I don't know how much more you accomplish by going another year and a half, really. But certainly it could have been done a year ago and saved tens of thousands of lives.
It wasn't in Netanyahu's interest to do so.
Right.
I mean, this hopefully will be the takedown of Netanyahu as well, if peace does come, and finally people can hold him accountable for what it's his job to keep the people of Israel safe. He did not do it. He has prolonged a war, caused more damage than I could possibly imagine, ruined the reputation of the very state he leads. There is now have to be accountability for Netanyahu on a criminal stage, whatever the hell is going on. That has to happen.
Well, also strategically, I mean, in the last just few weeks, the recognition of a Palestinian state by several Western countries seems to be a major backfire if Netanyahu was trying to sort of stem off that as a potential reality. So one other thing to consider, Alan.
I mean, the other issue is that I'm not sure Hamas was that anxious to get a settlement. I mean, they didn't. I mean, their ultimate goal was, I think, to eliminate Israel, but their other goals of people hating Israel, of the Palestinian issue, rising to the top, and people hating Jews more than they've ever hated Jews since World War II, that was accomplished. So I'm not, and they stayed in power during that time. So I'm not sure they were that anxious. The Palestinian people were the ones who suffered, but Hamas, I question their motives as well. So.
Oh, I think you're right, Alan. I'm not sure their motives were necessarily to foment anti-Semitism. I think foment anti-Israelism. I think absolutely, but I think that they were relying
both.
Right, but I think that but one was perhaps intentional and one was sort of incidental. I mean, because it seems as though they were certainly happy when a lot of the progressive Jewish voices were speaking up, particularly in the United States. There was a really good article, I can't even remember where I read it, but talking about the cleavage within the American Jewish community and the public perceptions that have occurred. So from that standpoint, that was certainly, I think, collateral damage on the part of Netanyahu to allow this to go as long as it did.
Yeah, again, he's a lot like Trump. He puts his interest above the countries, the peoples, the worlds. He's a sociopath. I mean, this is to wage a war like this. I'm literally a biblical scale of wiping out an entire people is unimaginable.
So Joel, do you think that Netanyahu's digestive and GI issues will now subside and he will go to testify in court?
I think Netanyahu is going to do everything he can to avoid any accountability, just like Trump, and go to any lengths to do it. And I don't know what those are going to be, but I think he's revealed who he is by how he's waged this war. Without moral, without ethics, without reason, and that is disturbing. And there's got to be accountability. There has to be. Too many lives have been lost. The world has been changed too much. Jewry around the world has been hurt, wounded. I think Netanyahu needs to be accountable. I put the blame on him. A response to October 7th, absolutely violent. I understand that rage, what's ever going on, but this is premeditated. This is too deliberate, too systematic, not to go.
So some of the voices that seem to be eerily quiet right now that weren't for the last 2 years include the finance minister, Bezalel Smotrich, and also Itamar Ben-Gvir, the minister of national security in Israel. They seem to have been sort of off their social media. I mean, I don't know if their parents took their phones away, but Bill.
Yeah, you jumped to where I was going to go. I can't help but wonder what the plan is here. And because of the silence of the people you just mentioned, and many on the right in Israel, I can't help but wonder what's going to happen, and if there isn't some internal agreement about this once the hostages are released. I'm cynical enough, and I agree with Joel enough to believe that Netanyahu is not above saying they violated this agreement and we're going to go in and end it now. And we'll be right back where we started from. And it's the only explanation I can come up with for why the extreme right has been silent, that deal's already been made.
I think Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, who have been keeping the war going and putting pressure on Netanyahu to continue, or he'll lose his majority there. I think basically the Trump people told them to fuck off and shut up. And Netanyahu saw that he's a political survivor. So basically the Trump administration said to Netanyahu, you do this or you're done. And so Netanyahu is now willing to throw them under the bus, even if it's I mean, who knows, in the end, they may sabotage his power there. But I think the Trump administration told those two guys to shut up already and back off. And I think Netanyahu had to tell them as well. So now
this is not just a male-only issue. So Beverly, Nancy, Barb, I mean, come on, jump in.
When you guys talk about Gaza, I tend to let Allan and Bill carry the weight just because they keep up with it more. I did read that long piece in the New York Times on Sunday, I believe it was, about, it was pegged to the 2-year anniversary and, the potential for the peace. But I was most struck by the settler movement and the far right in Israel. I just don't know why anyone would want to live that way. And I know at this point, when we talk about settlers in Israel, we usually have Steve Fishman there to say they're criminals. But these folks really are. I mean, they had pictures of these desolate, awful looking, trailers, that are pushed right up against the Palestinian border, and the cameras that point into the Palestinian territory, and the constant harassment, and they've talking into loudspeakers 24/7 saying we're going to kill you and take your land. It just baffles me that human beings would want to be like that. That speaks to such an extreme Zionism that it's not a surprise that that the world is turned against this, and apparently Ben-Gvir lives in a settlement. So
because I understand it's religiously fueled to fulfill whatever destiny, whatever the hell it is, some biblical, manifestation, whatever it is, and so that's the zeal. It's insane. We have that here. We have people in America who are you could transplant extremists wherever the hell you want to. That they are bound by their their ideology. Reason doesn't mean a damn thing. Based on their ideology, there is no real reason. Logic it's all flawed. But there's such a commitment to it that they're zealous and they're on their fucking own and they're nuts. We have those all over the world. I see that with with MAGA, quite frankly. I see that here, and this craziness, this willingness to kill, this willingness to be violent in Israel, it has manifested. But it's the same mindset. I'm religious. I'm in the right.
Yeah.
This is my destiny. I have to do this. It's fucking crazy.
The closest equivalent I can come in this country is maybe like the fundamentalist LDS people that live in compounds with, polygamy and families with bazillions of children. I just, it's the only thing I can really compare it to. But
I mean, we've seen this with people like Koresh and with Manson. I mean, there is a sort of an ideological angle to this.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Spahn Ranch wasn't exactly a 5-star hotel. So
yeah.
But I mean, if you want a better life for your children, I think that's a universal human desire. You want your children to have something better than you had, or at least the same if you're doing extremely well. And, to see that people are willing to put children in these places and, use them as pawns, it blows my mind. But anyway.
But my little 2 cents in this is just overall, I remain hopeful, like most sane individuals, that this war is coming to an end. However, the individuals that's trying to make the claim that it is can't be trusted. Right. And then when you look at the tragedy of the loss of lives, the loss of a country, and people dare to try to celebrate this, it's like out of body. It's like we're watching, continuing a movie. I don't know where this country or this world is going. So I'm hopeful, but look at the destruction.
Oh.
This is tragic on several levels.
Absolutely.
The babies.
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, the Israeli Knesset not only voted in favor of this, but was actually in session, unlike our government, which is still on a shutdown, including the fact that it seems that the military is not being paid. And Alan, I think we've got some videos.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to go ahead, keep talking while I figure out which one.
Okay. Well, you can always show Bill's picture from a bygone.
Here we go.
I know the government is technically shut down, but that doesn't mean everything is shut down. Rest assured, friends, our politicians are still working hard to make sure the important stuff is getting done.
The Trump administration has ordered FBI employees to search for papers or digital records related to the disappearance of famed pilot Amelia Earhart.
Hell yeah. Trump heard we wanted to see the secret files about the famous person with a private plane who suffered a mysterious death, and he was like, Amelia Earhart, got it.
Bill, I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, your photo is like the elevator music to my eyes. It calms me down.
It's iconic.
It's
iconic.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. It's your photo and the girl from Ipanema, and they're like, they're sort of, yeah. So there you go, man. Thank you. So where are we going with this federal shutdown right now? I mean, there seems to be absolutely no real appetite for compromise. There is intractability. I know that some are making the argument that House Speaker Mike Johnson doesn't want to convene in part because of the fact that the Epstein files might then have to get a vote for their release. And I think, Alan, we got a video regarding that as well.
Yes, we do. I'm sorry. I'm trying to juggle a few things here.
Do you want
me No, the girl from Ipanema, Nancy. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Just to balance that.
Say it again. Which one are we looking for? I'm sorry.
The one about House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Okay. Let me see here. Mike Johnson. Okay.
There have been Republicans sworn in during pro forma sessions, so why should it be different for a Democrat?
It's a great question. There was a unique exception made when the 2 Florida representatives were sworn in earlier this year after winning a special election, and the only reason we did that is because it was previously noticed for that date, and they flew all their families and friends in for the ceremony.
Right. Hey, well, they had the back room booked at Olive Garden, and he couldn't ruin that. The crazy thing is, for the last 2 years, Republicans were the ones screaming for these Epstein files, and one of them still is and doesn't care what the rest of the party has to say about it.
There is no amount of pressure they can put on me to force me to step in line on that, so to speak.
You know things in Washington are broken when Marjorie Taylor Greene is the lone voice of reason on the Republican side.
You know what's worse? What's worse than that is Mike Johnson is wearing an Estonian-colored flag. I mean tie. I mean, where's his loyalties? So,
anyway. I will say this, and I think it's notable. One of the things that has always frustrated me about so many Republicans is they don't believe in something that we believe in until it affects them. Dick Cheney, for instance, pulled away from the Republican line on gay marriage and gay rights when his own daughter came out as gay. So,
but not for a long time. Not for a very long time. They shunned her for years.
Yeah, I know they did. But eventually they figured it out. And I just think I heard somewhere that Marjorie Taylor Greene feels this way because her own adult children are talking to her about having their health insurance premiums double, which is what will happen if they take away the tax credits for people who are on the Obamacare exchanges. And so that's what makes her, it's because it affects her children. That's what makes her, stand up, which I guess is better than nothing. But at the same time, it's like, can you guys ever think about anyone other than yourselves? I don't know. So that's my.
By the way, one of our viewers said that Israel is smaller than Lake Michigan. It's also smaller than Lake Erie. Just so you know.
Wow. Yeah. It's about the size of New Jersey, isn't it? Or
it is about the size of New Jersey. Yeah,
that's what I've been told.
If you include the pier.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So okay.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if they're getting paid, but it seems as though President Trump is increasing and intensifying his assault on American cities. Dispatches coming from Chicago, including ICE agents up on rooftops, hitting priests with pepper balls and others. And now he is considering invoking the Insurrection Act. Trump, not that priest.
Sending the National Guard now into Portland and Chicago. He's sending the Texas National Guard into Chicago, all dressed in camouflage, by the way. And I want to say, I know you're from Texas, guys. Camouflage will not help you blend in Chicago. You would be better off dressed as kielbasa in Chicago.
So it seems as though one Republican voice of reason is the governor of Oklahoma, who actually is objecting to this entire escapade because he says, well, can you imagine if Governor Pritzker were to ask for National Guard to be deployed to Tulsa, which they probably should have been in 1921 before they got rid of Black Harlem down there, but that's a whole different story. Where I know that right now there is a 14-day hold thanks to a federal judge blocking the deployment of the National Guard to Portland. But how strong is the firewall of the judiciary, Bill and Joel particularly?
I don't think it's proven to be all that strong. I think, I was actually with Victoria Roberts yesterday. We spoke about the judiciary, and she was a former federal judge. And as we noted, and I've noted before, the trial courts typically are doing the right thing. They are putting some guardrails. The appellate courts are typically putting some guardrails, like this 14-day, TRO, right? But it's the Supremes who are backing the diminution of their own power and their own authority. And they're self-sabotaging, which is bizarre. So I have zero faith that the Supreme Court will restrict the executive, Trump, in any meaningful way. I just don't believe it anymore. I don't see it. It's discouraging. It's discouraging the federal bench. The lawyers who practice, in the before the federal bench, Bill and I do. It's just, I don't think there will be a meaningful restriction on Trump with the justices who have sworn a fealty to him, together with Alito and Thomas. He is going to get what he wants. It's going to be some other aspect of society, the people, the military, I don't know, who's going to have to get some balls, because it ain't going to be the Supremes.
It's very interesting. First of all these opinions come around. If you'll remember, just a few months ago, we were talking about the Supreme Court opinion saying a district court cannot grant an injunction that covers the entire country. And we were talking about why that decision was important. because what we have here are a number of opinions. Remember that the Portland decision was written by a Trump appointee, and if I recommend everybody read the opinion. It was scathing. That the judge said something along the lines of the facts as described by the government are untethered to the truth. Chicago, it was a Biden-appointed judge, but these trial court judges all over the country. But what happens is you get a conservative judge, you get a right-wing judge, and they allow this to happen. And I want to echo what Joel said about how frustrating and dehumanizing all of this is for people in the system. Even conservative judges have told me this is like too much. This is, it's like the rule of law doesn't exist. And I'm not being critical of just of the DOJ. I'm talking about the Supreme Court.
Yeah,
it's very true. The lefties have been saying we need to pack this, expand the Supreme Court and pack it. We have to do something to push back on this, and that's the kind of thing that would make a moderate lefty like me say, no, let's not go that far, blah, blah, blah. But the more I see these people ignoring every precedent, every norm, every decided policy that has worked for us for, a century or more, the more I think, well, fuck it, let's go big, go big or go home. Would they hesitate to do this? And if the answer is no,
they didn't. That's the problem. They didn't. Nancy, you hit it right in the head. They didn't hesitate to do this. They've got the Supreme Court packed because they used techniques unheard of.
Yeah.
In our history.
Yeah.
To prevent Biden from getting appointments. To grab
Obama's the one that they truly stole it from. Yeah.
But, the other thing is that he talks about the Insurrection Act, this subhuman person, Stephen Miller, came out at CNN. Of course, he froze right after. I'm sure he said, "What the hell are you saying?" The president having plenary rights under the Insurrection Act to do this. I printed out a copy of the Insurrection Act, and I think it's, occasionally somebody ought to read the law. And it says, whenever there is an insurrection in any state against its government, the president may, upon the request of the legislature or the governor, if the legislature cannot be convened, call in federal troops.
Right.
They're not doing that.
They're not going to do that. Right.
Plenary powers. He doesn't get a chance to do this all by himself. That's number one. And number two, the entire movement here is to destroy the guardrails. I mean, it's 8th grade social studies, and I know this because I taught 8th grade social studies, that we have 3 co-equal branches of government. Well, we don't anymore.
Right.
No, we really don't.
Mm-hmm.
No one is doing anything about it. You're right.
Yeah. I was watching the news the other night. They were interviewing the police chief in Portland, and he's saying the demonstrations are limited to 1 block in downtown Portland. Trump is saying the place is on fire. It's crazy over there. And, Jimmy Kimmel, I mean, the media needs to be reporting more on what's actually,
They need to say he's lying. They need to actually say he's lying.
Yeah. They actually held their marathon there. Barb.
As the far lefty that you were talking about, the very idea that Barack Obama or Joe Biden were radical socialists or anything more than the genteel left center and mostly center, I mean, is hilarious to me. And I thought they were fine. They were okay presidents, but they were never going to step up. They were never going to Biden was never going to force the Epstein files out. Biden was never going to expand the Supreme Court. He could have done things because he could see it coming, right? I mean, and
I don't think he could see it coming, Barb. I don't think he saw it coming.
And the whole Democratic Party could not see it coming. The Democratic National Committee could not see it coming.
There are plenty of lefties who saw it coming. I've been ringing the bell forever. But I know what you're saying. The DNC, you're right. The DNC out to lunch.
Right, in office, and they're ignored. And when people talk about, oh, why won't the left stand up and go out there? You've got AOC out in the road constantly. You've got Bernie Sanders. You've got Pritzker, a billionaire, for God's sakes,
Gavin
defending
Newsom.
us. But I mean, this is all so minimized, and we resubscribed to the New York Times, and I'm back to pulling my hair out in giant handfuls.
But you
Well,
also
Barb,
have,
you were right. What you just described is lack of unity, lack of unification. Everybody can do things, but everybody's doing their own thing. And then some people, I agree, like what Nancy was saying, some people saw it coming, but then the courage to take something, to do something.
Well, I mean, the people who saw it coming do not have the power.
Right.
They're,
They don't
you
have
know,
the
they're
power.
the ones who
well,
are yelling
the
about
ones who are in power. The ones who are in power seem to be rather cuckolded. I mean, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries.
Yeah.
So
Can I just say one thing? This was something that I was going through the list of outrages this week to try to settle on my schmuck, and this is too amorphous to be a schmuck, but I found this story in the Oregonian, which is I can't think of what chain owns it now. Pardon me?
I worked at the
Oh,
Oregonian.
yeah, that's right. You had so many weird jobs, and the Oregonian is not even close. Anyway, because I heard about all of them when I worked at Allen. But they're talking about this roundtable that Trump had, where they were supposed to talk. They were talking about Antifa, which is, come on. But anyway, they said, and the reporter, following the norm of journalism, the way we do journalism, types out a roundtable consisting of Trump officials and independent journalists. Okay. Independent journalists is apparently the term of art we've decided to describe right-wing bozos who have big platforms. People like late Charlie Kirk, blessed be his name, and Benny Johnson and Laura Loomer. They're not. And I'm screaming. It's like they are not independent journalists. They are not journalists by any stretch of the imagination. They're propagandists. They are polemists. It's like, stop calling them that, and stop saying, with baselessly, the president claimed. It's like he lied.
Right.
He's crazy, and he
misrepresented. Say something.
But they all know that. But they know if they say it enough.
Right.
It will become reality. That's what they're doing. They know that.
I mean, I hear people talk about it. It's like, well, I've been to Portland and, I saw a homeless guy once, so it's pretty bad out there. It's like, give me a break. Anyway, I'm sorry to yell.
Allan.
I'm just.
I remember going a little bit back to the DNC and stuff. I remember in 2004, after John Kerry lost, one of my pod mates at the Washington Post turned to me and said, well, maybe it's time the Republicans or the Democrats start doing more like pro-life things and this and that. And I said to him, I said, what's the point of having a party if you don't stand for anything? And they brought in Howard Dean, who I thought was an incredibly effective head of the DNC, who said, we're Democrats. We stand for labor. We stand for this and that. And I think he resurrected the party. And I think the leadership in the Democratic Party has been so weak from the top in every direction. We need to, and I've seen even now recently, and I don't know if there was some columnist or somebody who said maybe the Democratic Party should open the umbrella more for anti-abortion. It's like, yeah, look, you're welcome in the party as if you're anti-abortion, but the platform is not going to be anti-abortion.
No, it's not going to be. And we, they've been trying MAGA light for several election cycles now, and it just doesn't work. So it's like this. Your friend in the pod is full of shit.
It's actually less calories, Nancy. I mean, it works.
Watching Democrats vote for all of these people, vote for Pete Hegseth, vote for all of these complete scumbags. And it's like, they seemed really sincere. Saying please isn't gonna work.
No,
saying please is not gonna work. And it's so maddening. From the time that they gave up Al Gore, it's been bad. From that moment on, things have been let's not be like that. In the meantime, the Republicans do not give a single lonely fuck about anything but their own power.
And this is why the polls keep showing that Trump has a lowish approval rating, but Democrats have an even lower one. And this is why I am replying stop when I get yet another fundraising text or email from some. It's like, unless you are doing something, you're not going to get a fucking dime out of me. I don't care what you say. Alyssa Slotkin and Gary Peters voted to confirm Christine Ohm, and Alyssa Slotkin said, "Well, we have this new bridge opening, and it's important that we have a good relationship with the Department of Homeland Security." It's like, fuck that noise. You just fell for it. So I'm sorry.
People are finally saying, like this week, I've been hearing last week that hopefully, they're glad the Democrats are trying to put the foot in the stand, with this budget and the shutdown. But it's like, Democrats, the leadership, get some balls.
Yeah, I know.
Let that kid David Hogg do what he wants to do. That kid seems to know to have some guts, some balls. He's aggressive.
Yes.
Give it to the kid, man. I mean, I saw
him. Go to the wall.
Leader is. He's got a shitty toupee. I don't know what the fuck he's saying.
I went back and
forth. 20s or 30s. He's got,
let loose.
By the way, Barb. I mean, we'll go to a commercial in a second. Barb, I think it probably would have helped Gore more if he hadn't chosen a neocon as his running mate with Lieberman. That didn't help. Okay, Alan, let's go to a commercial now.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
In 1937, Detroit was in turmoil. Auto workers were on strike, and union strength was growing. A local minister and part-time labor broadcaster was found fatally injured at the Ford Rouge assembly plant. These dramatic events come to life in the play Forgotten, the murder at the Ford Rouge plant.
The boss has got to sign when you organize.
Actors, singers, and musicians tell the true story of how Detroiters built a union town while searching for clues to solve a mysterious death.
The strength of 100,000.
See Forgotten at Marygrove Theater, October 10th through the 12th. Tickets are $35 at Eventbrite or at MichiganLaborHistorySociety.com.
Now remember, Allan said he's going to be at the show on Sunday, so if you bring a non-permanent marker, he will sign the device of your choice upon which you watch this show. So
I will be ushering tonight and tomorrow night. So
all right. Well, then there you go. You've got our whole cast, or at least part of it there. And so, like I said, I'm just don't give them writer's cramp in the process. So on the subject of the judiciary, I mean, I guess, Bill, you said that the Supreme Court said that the district court's decision is not then applicable across the country. I suppose in some ways that's not bad, because otherwise this administration could run down to Eileen Cannon in Florida, or that judge in Texas that pretty much rubber stamps everything that they want to do. So something to consider in that regard. But here in Michigan, we did pass the budget in Lansing, including what seems to be $2 million removed from an autism program to go to fix the damn roads. I guess some happy, some sad with what came up in the budget, but at least the government's still running.
I mean, pisses me off, but other than that, nothing. Yeah, I have no other comments because I don't know anything else. That part, I'm not happy.
It seems that particularly the Republicans always scream when you talk about guns, mass shootings. They talk about mental health. It's not the guns, it's mental health. But yet they do nothing. They only cut mental health.
No, they just say the usual bullshit
out of their mouths.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I'm all for the transportation, of course, and infrastructure, because I do believe, Michigan definitely has to catch up with other states when it comes to public transit and all those things, but not at the expense of anything dealing with health especially the autism family. So I wish it could have been another line item to help. We do have that infrastructure, but yeah.
Well, Beverly, I mean, from your lips to God's ears, because I don't know if you've heard this, but there is hot off the presses new information regarding the cause of autism, and that is male circumcision, according to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., which, by the way, I have to ask Joel, Allan, Boobies, I mean, we are, 2/3 of the Abrahamic faiths that really lean heavily into this.
Well, he's doing great. Well, first of all, whoever made the deal for the circumcision, that Moses deal, I wasn't part of that negotiation. What the fuck? You're going to give up the tip of a penis for 2 tablets. That's a great deal. I mean, what the fuck are you doing? So that I hate. But I think it's an insane, idea. My son seems to be doing just fine.
All I know, Joel, is I'm on the greatest hitting streak on Wordle every day. So,
Can I just say though that it's not circumcision itself. It's the Tylenol because the male babies generally object to this procedure. They scream,
yes.
and so they give them, they wail, and so they give them Tylenol.
Wail.
Yeah, they give them Tylenol to ease the pain.
The way you constructed that sentence, I thought you were saying that's not self-circumcision. I'm like, God, I hope not.
He could have said anything else. He shouldn't have chose that particular, So he could have used another example because that could apply anytime. Babies are welling.
Yeah, they could say
as soon as the baby breathes, there's a relationship to
Have you guys ever been to a bris?
Yeah.
Yes, I was
in the Jewish tradition.
It's horrific. It's horrific.
Does the baby generally really raise a fuss?
So you give the baby a little bit of wine.
Hell yes.
Here's what happens.
You have alcohol. The baby gets a little
wine. You say, hey, it ain't going to be that bad. It'll be over before you nab it. And we're going to pay them oil with a tip. A little joke there. And so then it's sliced and diced. There is a baby wail of shrieking pain. You realize how fucking barbaric this is. How could I have done this to my own child? And I did. Yes, it's awful.
So we had a viewer say that she's a registered nurse and they don't give Tylenol. I was 5 years old.
Oh my God.
And I was duped. I was told I was going to the dentist. So every time I see Steve Martin in Little Shop of Horrors,
oh my God, that's real.
Yeah.
I was at a bris and they gave the kid a little wine, and the kid said, "Well, where's the cheese?" It's serious.
The apricots.
Are you serious? You were 5 years old when
this is a uniquely American situation. Somebody raises the issue of penises, and we run with it. The original question, by the way.
We only run with the issue. We only run with the issue, not the other thing, Bill. Yeah. No, I was 5 years old. I don't know why my parents decided to wait until I was 5 in the UK. I think they were raising me Protestant. But in Turkey, they actually boys are 10 years old. And all of the boys from a village are actually paraded through, and it's a big deal. They wear fancy costumes and all, and it's definitely an oi. Well, speaking of circumcision,
can we go back to the budget issue because we didn't?
I want to talk about
Bill. I know you want to talk about other things that have been cut. So okay, go.
Well, no, I'm going to sound like the old tax and spend Democrat, I guess. But look, we are trapped in this situation where everybody wants more services and they want to pay nothing for it.
Right.
We have to understand that we've been trapped in that cycle. We're behind on infrastructure. We're behind on mental health issues. We're behind on everything. And until we put our big boy and girl pants on and decide we need to provide these services because it's the right and human thing to do, and we need to pay for it, we're going to always end up in this situation.
Yes.
Whether we're taking it from autism or from education or what other from the mouth of hungry people, from healthcare for our
preach.
It's outrageous.
It is outrageous.
It's in this vicious cycle, and we need to start talking like adults.
Yeah.
We
Right.
need to come together. And you know what? We need to listen to one another, and then we need to really talk with one another about what's important. Because I don't think that this is, you can talk about MAGA people and about why they support Trump, but the fact of the matter is that so many of them are bogged down in the same problem. Their kids can't afford health care.
Right.
And if you talk to them, they've been duped by Trump to believe he has a better plan.
Yeah. And he hasn't. Yeah. It's been,
Yeah.
I mean, they've been fucking around with this for like 15 years now, and they
2
haven't
weeks.
come up with
2
anything.
weeks. It'll
And
be
keep in
effective.
mind, the Obamacare was a Heritage Foundation plan. It wasn't something that he made up in his socialist head. So there you go. No, you're right. And I remember reading an interview with a legislator from the Upper Peninsula once. And he said he holds his town halls and his coffee hours with his constituents. And every so often somebody will say, you know what we really need? What would really boost the economy around here is a 4-lane highway that cuts across the UP from east to west. He said that would be great. It'd make it easier to get up here, to get around up here. Tourism would explode, industry, blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, what are you willing to pay for that? And they all kind of recoil and they say, well, nothing. And you're going to fund it by cutting waste. And it misunderstands two glaringly obvious things. First of all, when we're talking about infrastructure, there is very little that costs as much as roads, especially freeways. I mean, the engineering that is required, the land acquisition, they're just, and the constant maintenance afterwards. I mean, my street was repaved. It was like something in, Somalia, and it cost like most of $1 million, for like 3 blocks of a little residential street. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is that people assume that there's all this waste in the government somewhere, that there is some Jabba the Hutt sized bureaucrat who's just sitting on his or her ass, watching the clock, doing nothing, collecting a huge paycheck. That's simply a myth. And, whoever sold that to you, whether it was Ronald Reagan or Rush Limbaugh or whoever else, they were wrong. And, are there places you can trim? Yes. But when Gretchen Whitmer said we were going to fix the damn roads, that it essentially said, and we're going to need some more money to do it, because as Bill says, we have been falling behind for decades on this.
But Bill he's spot on with that, and I used to be over the roads. A lot of people would say, why don't our roads look like Ohio and other states? And we would say, let us show you what they're paying. First of all, we don't even have toll roads. Let me see what they're contributing to that. No, everybody wants it, but no one wants to pay into it. They want to use it with the same pot of money. So that's why when you go in and get have money, you'll fix a road, and then you go 10 years or so long, you don't even go back to that freaking road. So by the time you go back to it, you're going to pay 3 times as much because there's no increment maintenance there. Thank God Biden and they had this infrastructure bill. But again, Michigan, what did we do? What did we contribute for the long term?
Ohioans will tell you their roads suck too. If you want great roads, cross either the Blue Water Bridge or go through the tunnel and pick up either the 401 or the 402 freeways in Ontario and Southern Ontario.
But I guarantee you they're putting more in it than we are.
Hell yes, they are. They're Canada.
And they can. Our problem is when we get so far behind and we don't maintain the roads, it costs a lot more.
Yes,
to tear them up and redo them completely.
Yes,
if we maintained them,
it costs a lot more to replace your engine than it does to pay for oil changes every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. But so.
By the way, Nancy, I think Highway 2 in the UP cost 1.3 billion pasties. So
they're so delicious. They're so good. You know what? It's more than the roads too, and this is something that no one wants to deal with. Since the blackout in the early 2000s, what have we done to improve the grid?
Nothing.
And
wasn't that caused by a squirrel?
It was some small thing, but it was enough to put huge spots to the United States.
Yeah, blacking out for a whole weekend. I know.
The same problem with our water system.
Our water system. our sewer systems.
Uh-huh.
You know, in 2014 when we had those rains, and it's one of those things. It's usually the poorest people that are affected by these things, but not in 2014. It was Pleasant Ridge and Huntington Woods.
Yeah, I got hit.
All of these places, these low, lovely places that are by water, it took out entire neighborhoods.
Yeah.
It's
because the climate is changing. Yeah.
What was it? Was it 1.5 trillion dollars that Bush gave us back in those rebates to say go buy stuff? That could have come in handy. So, Allan, I know you've done some reporting on WDIV, local channel 4, with now former correspondent reporter there, Hank Winchester, was fired by the station despite having been cleared by police for misconduct.
Right. Well, he was cleared of any criminal wrongdoing, and basically, I did a follow-up from the Metro Times story that they basically got the police report, and the police report basically said a guy met Hank Winchester on Facebook Marketplace. Hank was selling a fancy, I think, leather couch, and they met. And Hank, according to the police report, the guy alleged that Hank said, "I'm training to be a massage therapist. I need to put in like 75 hours. I'm willing to give you a free massage." The guy says he went for a massage. He alleges that Hank tried to make some advances there. Hank did take 2 polygraph tests, saying that he passed on that. The other allegation was that Hank was videotaping the massage. That's why police apparently raided his home, took all his electronics, everything, surveillance cameras, whatever. They found no evidence in the report saying that he recorded that. But there are emails in that report or text messages where the guy says afterwards, because the guy left apparently abruptly, and the guy says, "What massage you go to?" And Hank said, "That's not important." And he said, "It's important to me." Hank said a school. Metro Times checked, and Hank was not registered there. So I think what happened is criminally there was nothing they could have really charged him or certainly not convicted him of. But I think WDIV, and I'm surmising here because they've refused to talk about it, that they may have felt uncomfortable the way he misrepresented himself, allegedly misrepresented himself. So,
okay. So we also had a
Bill had his hand up. Bill.
Can I just weigh in on this?
Yeah.
I feel pretty strongly about this. As Joe will tell you, there's a reason police reports aren't admissible in court. Any witness can say anything they want in these police reports, and that's what got reported. I think that the only thing that we know is that we don't know anything. And I'm a little cynical because I've represented some people in the media, and it does seem to me that the media does use almost every opportunity they can to cut people with higher salaries. And this looked like a pretty good way to do it from my perspective. Look, I don't know if all that well. I've met him a couple of times. I don't know if he did something improper or didn't do something improper. Be honest with you, I don't really care about it. But I don't like the idea that somebody uses statements from a police report to make these decisions and to malign his character. That just seems wrong.
And there's no civil suits. I haven't heard of one that's related to this.
There's not.
Right. And
unless he brings one.
I doubt he will. Nobody wants, he doesn't want to revive and relive this. The thing would be from the plaintiff who said he was touched under whatever, assault, or whatever he wants to claim, but there's no lawsuit going on here. So that would kind of support the defendant's view that, hey, nothing happened because I'm not even getting sued, which is a far lower standard.
He also does a podcast with Kelly Stafford, Matt Stafford's wife. And on Thursday, the day before the Metro Times story came out, she abruptly says, "My husband doesn't know about this, but I'm taking a leave for mental health issues and trying to figure out I'll come back in a month, figure out where we're going," because Hank was a partner in there. And so I don't know. I mean, look, I know Hank not real well. He's he's always seemed like a very nice guy, and he had a popular shtick going on, the consumer affairs reporter there.
Very effective.
And I'm
And
sure
nobody
help me, Hank.
And nobody asked, you're giving up a TV news salary undoubtedly north of in the six figures.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be a massage therapist. It's like every massage therapist I know carries their own table and scraps for tips. So it's a little suspicious, but whatever.
So we had a passing here of certainly a local luminary, and that is former Congresswoman Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick. Not only served a distinguished long term in the U.S. House, I think in Michigan 14, if I'm not mistaken, and was it 13? Okay.
Well, eventually it might have changed, but it was
might have shifted around.
13.
That district no longer really exists, but.
And mother of former Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick at the age of 80. Thoughts and reflections on her legacy?
I can say that I reading a lot of the tributes. I knew on surface, her political career and the things she's done, but a lot of things I've learned from a lot of tributes I've seen online from people. It really, I didn't know a lot of the things and people that she helped. It just looks like, especially in our community and starting out there, she did a lot of good. So it's always sad when individuals, transition over, and it appeared that her career, some of what her son spilled over, and to me, that's also the tragedy of it, of her career. So it wouldn't overshadow. So I didn't know her. I knew of her career. I know a lot of people who very familiar with her who were taking this really hard and just applauding her career. So that's really all I can say. But I was educated this week on a lot of things about the former Congresswoman that I didn't know.
Bill.
Yeah, I worked with her from time to time on some projects for clients, and I tell you, I thought she was effective. And tried to do a good job. And I agree that she really did work with individuals within her district. My difficulty, and I believe in speaking the truth about these issues and not sugarcoating them. My only problem with her was that from everything I saw, witnessed firsthand, was she was the one who empowered her son to believe that he was destined to control the city of Detroit in ways that, as a parent, I sometimes understand. I had those are my own foibles. I loved my kids too much, may be a good argument. And but she took positions with and about her son that were kind of untenable, but believed that her son was destined to run the city of Detroit.
That's how she raised him, from everything I've read. So.
There's an interview.
Everything I heard, I saw it with my own eyes.
He recently did an interview with New Era Detroit the other day, which I was about to publish the day that his mother passed, and so I've held off on publishing it. But one of the things that he talks about in there, when he's 10 years old, there's this Black history thing, contest or whatever, about who's invented what or whatever, and he won the regionals. And as part of that, they got to go to the Manoogian Mansion. He went to the Manoogian Mansion with his mother, who knew Coleman Young, and Coleman Young says something, according to Kwame, "Hey, big fella, blah blah blah." He says, "You know what? Someday you can be mayor." And he said, from that day on, I said, "Yeah, I can be mayor." And he says, "I told everyone that from that point on until I became mayor." So
there you go.
That must have been before CY3 came along. My only encounter with her was I was flying back from Washington once, and she and her entourage took up the entire first class of the flight. So I was seated behind in coach, and I was flanked by Congressman John Conyers and Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, because there were no other seats up in first. She had all of her staffers and all sitting there. I'm like, well, all right. So
wow,
not a bad.
That's what, a 3-hour flight? If
It's a 1 hour and 4 minute flight from Washington.
A 1
National
hour and
to-
4 minute flight, and she's willing to spring for first class for everybody. Well, so they can get a second drink. I mean, that's wow. Okay.
You know, honey roasted peanuts just they hit quite a bit differently. You know,
and they won't even give you peanuts anymore.
No, man, it sucked. It's not good.
At least you got to sit with
They're
Tiger.
warm in
It's
first
always
class.
such a
They bring you warm honey
guy.
roasted peanuts.
Yeah.
No, but that was quite a thing. Alan, I think we have one more video about a Trump rally, and then we'll go to the last segment.
During his speech this week to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Navy, President Trump thanked a group of women who have been to more than 100 of his rallies. He also thanked the woman who has been to 2.
That is great.
There you go. Okay, last segment, Alan.
Downtown Detroit, Robert Wells, Schmuck of the Week.
Joel, who's your schmuck?
I'll go with Mark Sanchez. Quarterback for the Jets, was a first-round pick. His like the cushiest life doing NFL commentary, sideline commentary, the booth. Gets in this incredibly crazy fight with the 69-year-old truck driver where they end up stabbing each other. The 69-year-old truck driver was in the hospital for a while. Basically, Sanchez, nobody knows why he went insane. Maybe drunk was the idea. The guy just tried to park his truck, was going to make a delivery. Sanchez went nuts. The guy got scared, pepper sprayed Sanchez. Sanchez drags him out. Night fight. Sanchez goes to the hospital. The dude goes to the hospital, and Sanchez gets charged with a felony. So, like, how to destroy a wonderful, cushy career. Like, that always fascinates me. You got the greatest gig ever, just stay out of fucking trouble, which isn't that hard to do. I don't think. And these guys get in trouble, and it's like, what are you doing?
Maybe he can become a massage therapist.
Were they dancing while they were fighting with the knives?
Speaking of that, you know, I feel terrible for is Mateen Cleaves, who was wrongly accused, and he was an NBA guy. He was doing commentary, and he was wrongly accused of a rape, and that never happened. And his career was derailed and has never gotten back where it was, and it's very upsetting to me. I hate when accusations like that come out and they're not true, and the reputation's tainted forever. I feel terrible. Anyway, that's
speaking of tragedies that have befallen athletes, who can ever forget Andre Rison, a Michigan State graduate, when Lisa Left Eye Lopez burned his house down in Atlanta?
She was pissed. Don't go chasing waterfalls.
Ooh, there you go.
The rivers and the streams that you're used for.
By the way, Mateen Cleaves works at United Wholesale Mortgage now as a leadership and motivational coach.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it was wonderful. It was awful, but I hate it. Go ahead.
I'm sure he's.
You know, I remember, Alan, reading that Bo Jackson is like now working someplace outside, like suburban Chicago, is like, I think either in banking or in real estate. I mean, really successful. Yeah.
Oh no, it's real estate.
Okay, sticking with football, and let me just full disclaimer: I have no idea of any of his music or anything, Mr. Bad Bunny. All I do know is Bad Bunny with the halftime entertainment pick. All of these politicians and leaders and everybody going crazy of his appearance at Super Bowl, but none of them have the same energy with your president or the homeless, miles and miles of homeless people in the very state Super Bowl we held at, or the mental health issues in this country. So I think all of them are schmucks who are going to put this energy on a Bad Bunny entertainment guy who's going to be at the Super Bowl for maybe 12 to 15 minutes, 15 minutes to max, but will not put that energy toward your president and everything else that's affecting the citizens. So they are my schmucks.
Mike Johnson
wants music. I don't know what he plays.
Mike Johnson wants them to ask Lee Greenwood.
Lee Greenwood.
I was born an American.
around here, Beverly, he's known as El Conejo Malo, the Bad Bunny in Spanish. But
all I know is ISIS said they're going to be there. They're going to be there.
Can I say this though? He was guest host on Saturday Night Live. I don't stay up that late, but I watched some of the clips that he was in. He's a natural. He's relaxed. He has a sense of humor about himself. He's Puerto Rican. And it's
an American.
He's an American, for God's sake.
And he's in Happy Gilmore too.
And Nancy, I mean, you're going to get to hear 15 minutes of songs in Puerto Rican. at the Super Bowl. But I love his comeback. He says, "Well, you've got 4 months to learn Spanish." I thought that was just a great comeback. Bill.
Yeah, my schmuck of the week goes to the Mr. Burns doppelganger, Stephen Miller.
Pee-wee German.
He's worse than Mr. Burns, but go ahead.
He's the doppelganger in terms of appearance, in my opinion. Stephen Miller may be one of the most evil persons in America.
Yes.
But his position that the judiciary does not have the right to question whatever the president decides is the most un-American position I've ever heard in my entire life. He went off the rails, and he's probably my schmuck of the year because he's really the conservative force behind Trump.
Right.
I don't think Trump's a conservative because I don't think Trump stands for anything.
Right.
Stephen Miller is a very dangerous person who needs to be controlled.
Yeah,
I get the feeling that he, J.D. Vance, and maybe Don Jr. are like pulling the puppet strings on Trump because Trump is so clearly losing his marbles. I mean, he just talks shit all the time, and people talk about Sleepy Joe had dementia, and it's like it's so obvious to me that Trump has started down that road, and I just get the feeling that they're getting shit done while they can get it done before the midterms, and if they can cancel the midterms, they'll try to do that too.
Yep.
So,
Barb.
Mike Duggan, who doesn't think that Medicare requirements or Medicaid, work rules are terrible things. They're fine. It's, you can pretend to look for a job, or you can do volunteer. And he doesn't seem to mind that work rules would genuinely strip healthcare from people who desperately need it. And all of these cuts are going to be so devastating to most Americans. Northern Michigan is going to have no hospitals. Like one or two, in the bigger cities, Traverse City will have a hospital, Marquette will have a hospital. It's going to be just terrifying what is going to happen. And Duggan is just going to do what his donors say, and his donors are all MAGAs. And he's not even a stealth Republican anymore. He should just go ahead and declare. Because
I was going to say, I wouldn't classify him as MAGAs, but he's trying to, and he's got to be really careful in his independence that he doesn't court and promote Trump and stuff like that. I think it's getting to the point, and I'm curious what everyone, and we're running out of time, but I'm just curious about Gretchen Whitmer trying to, acquiesce and accommodate Trump and buddy up to him. People's, but whatever, that's another show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Nancy.
We'll be talking. Oh, go ahead.
Well, you stole my number one, RFK trying to link circumcision to autism. But, so I'm going to have to go with, like I said, a more amorphous one, which are all of the ICE agents in Chicago who are crying like little bitches because these various small businesses in Chicago where they're snatching people off the street won't let them come in and get a sandwich and use the potty. And it's like if you can't, you've got a bigger budget than the damn FBI now. It's like have your keepers, your zookeepers bring in some, porta-johns or something that you can all use. But this is just, it's like for them to complain that it's like they're terrorizing parts of the city, and then they're complaining that they're not getting treated civilly and allowed to buy a sandwich and go wee-wee. It's just hilarious to me. So
I like how somebody set up a food cart and it said to ICE agents, free hot dogs, but show ID.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really clever.
Yeah.
Alan.
I'm going to go with Pam Bondi. I can't remember if we played her clip during the show or just before the show.
We haven't shown it yet. Why don't you go ahead and do that?
There were no answers about the Epstein files. Bondi answered none of them. You know, the author Michael Wolff, who has interviewed Trump repeatedly, says he's seen about a dozen photographs of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein with topless women. Trump's BF Jeff kept them in his safe and showed them to this guy. So this morning, Rhode Island Senator Sheldon Whitehouse asked Bondi if the FBI found those photos.
There's been public reporting that Jeffrey Epstein showed people photos of President Trump with half-naked young women. Do you know if the FBI found those photographs?
You know, Senator Whitehouse, you sit here and make salacious remarks, once again trying to slander President Trump left and right.
Didn't hear the word no there, did you? Did you hear it, Guillermo?
No.
No, I didn't hear it either. Well, maybe.
It's disgraceful. I mean, you have an oversight committee. We have, like you say, the different branches of government, checks and balances, and she refused to cooperate in any way to answer anything, including the one about Holman, the border czar, taking $50,000. They said, "Where's that money?" And
yeah, that was another one. She's like, I just think it's terrible. Yeah, she's schmuckette for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
And that smirky face.
Can I respond? By the way, Ron Smith said, "Can you name any single member of the administration that you have that has your respect?" For the reasons that you just mentioned, the answer is no, because the only people in the administration are people who will take the knee, not loyalty, but fealty to Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Which is why they don't get my respect.
And debase themselves. Ooh.
Okay, well, I've got a hat trick. I'll go through these quick. Two actually have to do with the same thing, and that is, of course, the announcement about the Nobel Peace Prize to Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. This is actually a quote that she has. I dedicate this prize to the suffering people of Venezuela and to President Trump for his decisive support of our cause. She seems to be quite the MAGA on many issues, but hey, since there you go. So that's one. And then, of course, you had to expect that someone in the White House must be very peeved at the Nobel Committee. And so Trump's right-hand man, Stephen Oddjob Chung, said that the Nobel Committee proved they place politics over peace. Despite the fact that, of course, Trump is bombing the hell out of Venezuelan fishermen in the Caribbean. So you got that.
It proves that he places a paycheck over peace.
Yeah.
But I have to think that the biggest schmuck is not even Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, who was fined $250,000 for flipping off fans when the Dallas Cowboys beat the New York Jets. But it's Republican State House member Josh Shriver, Michigan Republican, who, by the way, just to give you a little bit of background, says, "I work for God, not for man," had proposed a ban on birth control and also a reversal of the same-sex marriage decision by the Supreme Court, Obergefell versus Hodges. Also voted against Juneteenth, one of only 4 members of the Michigan legislature to do so. Well, now his apparent target is to push for a pornography ban, except according to an article in the Metro Times, he's been linked to one of the porn sites. So... But just for, I don't know what's worse, for his hypocrisy or the fact that he doesn't know how to clean out his cookies on his laptop. Josh Shriver, Schmuck of the Week. Yeah, Nancy.
Good one. I'd give him a very slight pass on this one because that dates from like 2010 or 11 when he was in school at MSU, and
everyone have an account.
I know. I know enough about men to know that they will poke their dick, not their sexual curiosity will carry them. Well, as my one friend said, my dick takes me places I wouldn't go with a gun. So, I mean, when they're, a young man who has a certain curiosity that he's looking into online, I can't fault him too much. So there you go.
Well, that's because you have to register at least one of them. But but no. I mean, in the last 15 years, it shows that this young man has not even cleared out his cache or his cookies. So, I mean, what level of responsibility does he have to be a representative of the great state of Michigan, or at least Oxford, Michigan, from where he hails?
Okay.
Anyway, thanks for another great show, going through quite a bit of news this week with the kind of levity, insight, and respect that it all deserves.
And dirty words. Yeah.
And plenty of them. Thank you, Beverly Watts. Thank you, Bill Seikaly. Thank you, Joel Sklar. Thank you, Barb Ingalls. Thank you, Nancy Derringer. And thank you, and always, with the last word, Allan Lengel.
Drive home safely.
Drive home safely. Go Tigers. Go Lions.
Oh,
yes.
Go
Big
Lions.
weekend. Big weekend.
Yeah.
Bye.
I know where we'll find you.